to have you. Welcome. We are finishing up our chakra series, and I am so sad about it because I've really enjoyed teaching this. It's just been really fun to move up through the energy centers and just like really have an embodied experience of each one. If you missed any of them, I do recommend going back and watching the ones that you missed. They're on the streaming page. But yeah, it's been so much fun. And I'm really excited to cap off the practice this week with my favorite chakra, which is the like auxiliary one, the one that we don't see on on all of the pictures, which is Bindu Visarga. And how do I explain it in relationship to the other chakras? So, as I mentioned before, we've been working our way up the chain. We've worked with the root, the preference center, the navel center, the heart, the throat, third eye, the crown. And as we've worked our way up, we've kind of moved further and further away from the physical plane. And that is about the ascension of your consciousness. It's to realize that you are more than this body, you are more than these experiences, you are more than these thoughts, speeches, and actions. And Bindu Visarga, it's kind of an aside to all of that. It's a higher energy center. But while we are with like the third eye and the crown, we're trying to access intuition, we're trying to sit with higher energy. Bindu Visarga is about our relationship to that energy. So it's about keeping us connected to it and having a deeper understanding of that. So the location of it is at the back of the head. So it's not the point at the back of the head, but kind of right up here, like a 45-degree angle, if the center of the brain was the foci. So just pointing out that way. And it means the heavenly drop. And in yoga and in chakra work, it is the point through which the divine, however you want to qualify that, drops in nectar, amrit, or inspiration into your consciousness. And kind of bringing this into a secular view here, if you have different views on divinity or what that is, or maybe you're atheist, that's completely fine. This actually still works here because we can think about inspiration, for example, as being something greater than ourselves. So that can be learning something from somebody else. It could be being inspired by art. It could be the accumulation of all of your experience that you've ever had, and you're tapping into that. So this is that kind of energies where you're accessing that oncoming flow of energy. That's another thing about it, is that it's always flowing in. Now, a lot of times we're not aware of it coming in. It just kind of drops out the bottom and we don't collect it. And so we'll be practicing some of the bandhas tonight, primarily Jalandhara bandha, which I'll instruct in a bit, but it's a chin lock, so that we can kind of catch this energy, that we can kind of keep it with us, so that we can practice with it. So bringing up my notes about the rest of it. Um, on a more esoteric explanation around it, which I always love the esoteric ones. Um, it's a point of emptiness where divine information can be dropped in. It's a source of astral creation. So if you believe in astral projection, this is kind of where that's happening from. Um, and it's the point through which all elements can manifest. So you're bringing everything together. It's that point of inspiration. I just love that idea so much. So it drops into the head, and that is where you start to connect with energy, thoughts, mindsets, divinity beyond yourself. It's a point of connection. So that is Bindu Visarga. All right, one more thing to explain about it. I know I go into some detail here, but I like to give you as much as I can before we start to experience it. This is sometimes called the moon chakra. And if you've been to one of my moon classes before, you know that the moon is cooling and it's receptive. And tonight, I'd like you to think about that as receptivity, because there are going to be points where I'm going to ask you to practice somewhat on your own. And so that practice there is called sahaja yoga, or self-arising yoga. And it's meant to be an intuitive practice. You're not supposed to think about it too hard. You're just supposed to move how you feel you need to in a moment. And it might feel like yoga, it might not feel like yoga. You might be moving, you might be stopping. And I'll be coaching you as we go through it to make sure that you're not just getting caught in critical mindsets, and you're truly allowing yourself to step into this space of just whatever arises. And that is the energy that comes to you through the Bindu Visarga. So that's going to be our greatest connection to it tonight. We're going to practice Sahaja Yoga at least twice, according to my notes. And then we'll do a beautiful meditation at the end around the moon and allowing us to connect to this energy. Okay? And we're all here. Yay. Good. All right. So let's experience this. Go ahead and sit tall. Sit comfortably. This is one of my favorites. I'm super excited. So shrug your shoulders up towards your ears. Take the shoulders toward the back of the room and relax them down. Crown of the head lifting toward the ceiling. A couple of deep breaths in and out. And I want you to become aware of that point at the top of the back of the head. It's another way to think about it, the top of the back of the head. That point that's pointing out and upward at a 45-degree angle from the center of the brain, back behind you. And feel that point lift upward and backward slightly. And that'll cause your chin to tuck in just slightly, which is actually Jalandhar Bandha, the chin lock. This will help to capture that energy. Then release control of your breath, even if you weren't aware that you were controlling it. Relax your body, find some stillness, kaya stira, absolute stillness. Just feel your body relax. Again, this access to this energy is about receptivity. It's about relaxing and opening yourself up to ideas, to experiences, to knowledge, to wisdom, to knowing without understanding, to understanding without knowing. You can call it intuition. You can call it providence. You can even call it deep remembrance, however it's best for you to connect to this idea that you are being fed energy, awareness, that something beyond yourself, something bigger than yourself is influencing you in a good way, from moment to moment, from second to second, from breath to breath. And maybe there's been a question on your heart that you've been carrying, that you've been looking for guidance around. There's plenty of uncertainty in the world. Maybe it's something connected to that. Maybe it's how to be, how to love. We're not seeking anything here. We're just opening ourselves up to whatever might come. You see a light shining from the Bindu, the top of the back of the head, an opening to your mind, to your consciousness, to you. And keep that light shining, that openness opening as we chant Om 3 times. Deep breath in. Bring your palms to your heart and lower the chin. Honor yourself as you are in this moment. Opening yourself up to this moment. Let that be our intention for this practice. Rubbing the palms together. Take the heated palms over your eyes. And brush back over the top of your head, down the neck. Bring yourself back to your space. And let's transition on to hands and knees. Take your time, and you may need a blanket underneath the knees for some comfort. Not all yoga is about grinning and bearing it. Some of it is. Okay, coming into Chakravakasana, table pose. Inhale, look forward, feel the tailbone lift. Exhale, round the back, tuck the chin and tailbone under. Inhale, look forward again, tailbone lifts. Exhale, round the back. Let's keep going, warming up the spine here. Good, let's take this to child's pose. Exhale. Inhale back up to hands and knees. Again, child's pose. Inhale back up. Exhale back. Inhale up. Twice more. Good. Inhale up to hands and knees. Curl the toes under. Lift the hips into the air. Downward facing dog. And walk the dog out a bit. Press the heel to the floor. Bend the opposite knee. Lengthen the legs. Lengthen the spine. Seeing what's there in our bodies. One way to kind of tap into that greater knowing is just simply being aware of what needs tension. There's a wisdom to our bodies. This will come in handy here soon. So really notice what feels tight, what feels open, what feels sore, what feels like you just need to create more space or mobility. Then inhale, float gently down onto hands and knees, look forward. Exhale, child's pose. Take an adjusting breath. Then inhale back up to hands and knees. So I'm going to guide you through the next few movements. And after a while, I'm going to let you go and do whatever it is that feels natural or intuitive for you to do. So don't think about it too hard. And if at any point you're just not sure what to do, just come back to the start and just do whatever we're doing now. Good. So just go ahead and start to roll the neck around a bit. Just moving in one direction a bit, feeling what's going on in the neck. Be sure to breathe. Always breathing as much as we can remember to. And then go ahead and circle the head in the opposite direction if you haven't done so already. Good. Go ahead and sway the hips from side to side. You can choose to keep the head in center, or maybe the head moves with you. And start to roll the shoulders around in their sockets. Deep breaths. Moving in one direction, move in the other direction. Good. Now, what else feels good here? Maybe you want to go to child's pose and then come back up again. Maybe you want to move the neck around as you do that. Maybe you want to bring the hips forward and swirl the hips from side to side. If you go one way, try going the other direction. This is where you start to do what feels right for you. And you can always bring it back to an earlier practice. You can always do something else. The only thing I'd caution at this point is that we're just getting warmed up, so nothing too intense just yet, please. Maybe you want to do forced childs. Maybe there's an up dog in there. Maybe you want to go back to downward facing dog. The one thing I would encourage you to do here as we're getting warmed up is just to keep moving. Later on in the practice, when I invite you into Sahaja Yoga, I'll invite you to stop moving at certain points for certain reasons. But because we're warming up, it actually serves us best to keep the body moving a bit, to keep it warm. Maybe you want to do some chest presses. Maybe you want to move through Danda Kriya, the vinyasa flow that we do sometimes. Maybe you want to do crescent child's pose, seat of the heels, arcing to one side, maybe staying for a breath or two, because this one's good to do. Then going to the other side. Keep moving. Maybe a leg lifts in the air, maybe open the hips. Just kind of doing what feels good. And if you're not sure what feels good, try things. At a certain point, it might even look like yoga. But again, we're just getting warmed up, so nothing too crazy here. You could even come onto your back and do some bridge pose stuff if you want to. Nobody's holding you back here. This is where we start to see where the limits are in our consciousness, what kind of holds us back, what we feel like we're supposed to be doing versus what we know that we should be doing. Maybe there's a hip stretch in there. All of these are just options. Do what feels good. Maybe there's something that we did in a prior class that feels like it's something you want to try now. And again, it might not even look like yoga. We're going to go for a little bit longer. Just keep moving. Whatever feels good to you. And notice when you start to hear some critical voices in your mind that this is dumb or that you're not doing it right, or you start to feel that hesitation build up inside of you. Just ask those voices just to sit back and relax for a bit, because we're just experimenting. We're just seeing what's going on in the body. We're just warming up. There's even a playful quality to this because this is quite light-hearted work that we're doing. It doesn't have to be serious. Maybe there's some side planks in there for you. I know at least one of you likes side planks. Let's go for about another minute, okay? So if you're working with something asymmetrical, maybe spend some time on that other side. Notice when you start to feel yourself stalling, and then bring some breath to whatever it is you're doing. About 20 more seconds. And then take your time, but go ahead and land in child's pose. Wind your way to child's pose. Connect the forehead to the ground. And if the ground is far away, you can bring a block under your head, or you can stack the palms or fists. Just make a connection with the forehead. And feel as you rest here in child's pose. You might feel your heart beating. That's good. You'll feel your breath breathing. That's also good. There might be a sense of soothing that's happened by being able to answer your body, to ask the question, what do you need? and then providing it. Such care. And such wisdom from the body. One more deep breath here. Good. And then please take your arms down by your side, or sides, plural. Then inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, lift up onto the knees, reach the arms overhead, Virasana, hero's pose. Exhale, release down with control from your center. Inhale, lift back up again, Virasana. And then exhale, release down again. Let's do a few more of these. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Good. One more time, and then we're going to add on to this. Lift up, inhale. Exhale, release down. Take your hands forward onto the floor. Inhale up to hands and knees. Exhale, downward facing dog. Lift your right leg high into the air. With your exhale, step your right foot between your hands. Help it through. Keep the back knee lifting. Focus your eyes to a single point. Inhale, lift the arms up, coming into a raised lunge. Good. Exhale, hands to the floor. Step back to downward facing dog. Left leg lifts, please. Exhale, step the left foot between the hands. Help it through. Again, back knee stays lifted. When you're ready, eyes focused, lift the arms up, raised lunge. Then exhale, hands to the ground, downward facing dog. Inhale down onto hands and knees. Exhale, child's pose. Take your arms down by your sides. Virasana. Inhale, lift up onto the knees, reach the arms overhead. And then exhale, release down. Hands forward, up to hands and knees, downward facing dog. Right leg lifts and steps. High lunge when you're ready. Exhale, downward facing dog. Left leg lifts. Exhale, step. Raised lunge when you're ready. Again, downward facing dog. Floating down onto hands and knees. Child's pose, arms by your side. Hero's pose. Inhale, lift on up. Exhale, release. Take the arms forward. Again, lifting to hands and knees to down dog. Right leg and step. High lunge. Downward facing dog. Left leg lifts and step. High lunge. Downward facing dog. Hands and knees. Child's pose, arms by your side. Virasana, open up, lift up, inhale. Exhale, folding down with control, arms forward, hands and knees, downward dog. Right leg and step. High lunge. Downward facing dog. Left leg and step. High lunge. Downward facing dog. Good. Floating down again, child's pose, arms by your side. Inhale, Virasana. Child's pose. Arms forward, sorry. Inhale up to hands and knees. Downward facing dog. Right leg lifts. Step it through. High lunge and stay. Some of you knew this was coming. Don't be afraid to bend that front knee. Try to keep the back leg as straight as possible, and then turn the heart toward the ceiling. Open the heart, open the heart. Feel the Bindu opening as well, that light shining from the back of the head, inviting, open, receptive. Deep breath in. And exhale, fold. Downward facing dog. Good. Left leg. And step. Inhale, high lunge. Come on up. Good. Again, sink into the front leg. Back leg is straight. Heart turns toward the ceiling. Chest is opening. Bindu opening. Breath is breathing. Heart is beating. The heart is beating. Deep breath in. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good. Float down. Child's pose. Arms by your side. Virasana. One more time. Come up. Exhale, release down. Encap the forehead. On the floor, on the hands, on a block, cap the forehead. Feel your body. Feel your breath. The heart beating. The breath moving in and out. Receptive and giving. And feel that point at the back of the head, the Bindu opening up. And allow your body to relax here in child's pose as much as you can. A sense of surrender to what's coming through for you. Even if you're not sure what it is or if it is. Surrender, receptive nonetheless, to that which is greater than this experience. One more deep breath here. And then go ahead and roll yourself up to a seat, come up onto the knees, and step to standing. Whew. I do not know about you, but I am warmed up. But we're going to do a bit more because it's what we do. Before we do that, I want to reestablish our awareness of the Bindu. And if you remember back from one of my moon classes, I talk about bhavana, which is, it translates to mean sensation, but it's more of like an awareness of something higher. So just stand tall in Tadasana, mountain pose. Feet stacking underneath the hips, arms relaxing down by your side. The palms are slightly turned forward. The crown of the head is lifting, and we'll engage Jalandhara Bandha. So feel the chin just traction back slightly. And again, it says there's like a string on the Bindu that's just pulling you up and back. Relax your breath. You might feel an openness, a light at the Bindu. This last weekend, there was a really bright full moon in the sky. Maybe see that light shining toward the full moon in the sky behind your head. And feel yourself calm and receptive to whatever's coming through. Now, as you start to open yourself up to that, you might start to notice blocks, parts of you that are kind of like, I don't want to do that. Or it's like, I don't really feel anything. And that's completely fine. We'll continue to work with it through our practice tonight. That's the point of the practice. But maybe just start to notice if there's a sensitivity, if there wasn't before. Good. Now allow your eyes to open. And we're going to do some arm swings next, and we'll do the version where we drop the body. So I'll lead you through the first couple of rounds, and then you can join me. So it's a 3-part inhale through the nose, 1 powerful exhale out of the mouth with the movement. So feet stacking underneath the hips, It'll be inhale, arms up, inhale, arms back, inhale, arms up, exhale, bend the knees, drop the body, sweep the arms behind you to inhale, come up for the next round. Again, inhale through the nose, exhale out of the mouth. We're gonna go for about 2 minutes. So when you're ready, inhale, 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 exhale, inhale, 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 exhale. Powerful exhale out of your mouth, clear the lungs out, clear the respiratory system, getting rid of any of that stale, toxic air out of the base portion of the lungs. Feel the full rotation of the shoulder joints up, and back. With every inhale, with every 3-part inhale, you're drawing in that divine nectar, that wisdom, that knowledge, that intuition. And with every exhale, you surrender to it. You let go of that which is holding you back from it. The beliefs, the thoughts, the patterns, the habits. Let it go. Especially when you start to fatigue, let it go. About 45 more seconds. Let it go. Swing it out. Three, 2, and 1. Back to standing. Feel. Your heart beating. Your breath breathing. Tadasana mountain pose. Turn the palms forward. Jalandhara Bandha, the chin lock. The Bindu opening toward the moon. Feel yourself light, clear, open, receptive, trusting. Knowing that the answers to any of your questions are at your fingertips. The tip of your tongue, if you only open yourself up to trust and acknowledge what comes through. You can think about it as that knowing voice within you, that conscience. That part of you that knows the answer, even when you deny it. Deep breath in and out, and allow your awareness to come back. Good job. I didn't watch you, but I can sense. Good job. My Bindu is open, I can tell. Y'all are doing great. So we're going to move through a sun salutation next. And this is going to be our second practice of Sahaja Yoga, that self-arising yoga, which I know terrifies some of us, but we got to be open to it. We got to recognize when those critical voices come in, and we have to ask them to step back. And you can ask them to step back as well. Just when you're practicing and you're moving and you're trying something out that's uninstructed, just trust that that's right for you in the moment. And if it's not a failure on your part. Just try something else. We don't have to beat ourselves up around this. We don't have to overthink it. This is actually stepping away from the intellectual side of ourselves, which I know some of us can identify with, and stepping more into that knowing, trusting, right brain type space, that more abstract space. So leave the intellectual side over here for now and open yourself up to more of the intuitive side if you can. So I will lead you through the first 2 to 3 rounds. I'll see how I'm feeling of the sun salutation. It'll be a simple one. And then at a certain point, I'm going to let you off to do whatever comes to you. Now, we are quite warmed up at this point in many ways. So I'll coach you through a bit of it while we're there, but just know that you can do anything you want, and that your mat, this rectangle that you're on, is not the limit. You could walk to the wall and do, handstands at the wall if you have the wall space for it in your house. If you feel like you have the ability, you could do things like headstand or shoulder stand. The only thing that I would say for you in this practice of Sahaja Yoga is stay safe. Don't do something that you know you can't do or that you can't do well. We don't want people going into headstand when they haven't practiced it a lot and then falling. So that's my caveat. That's my little disclaimer for you is like practice at your own risk, but do trust yourself to do what is right. Okay. So enough talking about it. Let's do it. Go ahead and step to the top of your mat. Coming into Tadasana, mountain pose, palms open forward, starting with Jalandhara Bandha, the chin lock. And feeling yourself that openness, that receptiveness. If you like that image of the moon in the sky behind you, bring that into your awareness. Or maybe it's just light coming from the back top of the head. Or maybe it's an openness in your heart, however you can connect to it. All right, with your next inhale, sweep your arms overhead, reach up. With your exhale, bend your knees, chair prep, sweep the arms behind you. Inhale, chair pose. Stay for the exhale. Inhale, straighten the legs. And exhale, swan dive, fold forward and down. Palms to shins, halfway up, inhale. Exhale, release down and step your right foot way back. Back knee stays lifting. Inhale, crescent lunge or a raised lunge. Exhale, hands down, step back to downward facing dog. We'll move through Danda Kriya. Inhale, plank. Exhale, 1 inch from the floor, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale to downward facing dog. Lift the right leg into the air and step it on through. When you're ready, high lunge. Open the heart. Exhale, hands down, step forward. Palms to shins, halfway up. Exhale, release. Arms out to the side, come all the way up to standing, or reach the arms overhead, and then palms to the heart. Good, doing that again. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, bend the knees, chair prep, chair pose. Inhale, straighten the legs. And exhale, swan dive, fold forward and down, palms to shins, halfway up. Then go ahead and release, step the left foot back. Coming into your lunge. Downward facing dog again. Stepping that leg back. Inhale, plank, chaturanga. Upward facing dog to downward facing dog. Left leg lifts and step it on through. High lunge, inhale, come on up. Good, exhale, hands down, step forward. Palms to shins. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, come all the way up. And palms to the heart. I'll lead you through one more round. Inhale, reach. Chair prep. Chair. Lift. Fold. Halfway. Right leg. Lunge. Downward facing dog. Danda Kriya. You know this one. Returning to down dog. Right leg lifts. Step it through. High lunge. Good. Stepping forward. Palms to shins. Exhale, release. Coming all the way up, inhale. Palms to heart. Inhale, sweep the arms up and do whatever comes to you. I'll keep doing the last instructions for one round or so. If you need something to follow, you can just look at me, but try something else out if you feel it come to you. Maybe there's a different flow you want to do. Maybe there's a warrior series you want to do, warrior 1, warrior 2. Start to feel into it. What wants to move here? What does your body need? What does your system need? What does your energy need? Maybe you don't want to do the chair flow. Maybe you want to just fold forward. Maybe there's a lunging twist in there somewhere that you want to do. Maybe there's a hamstring stretch that you want to do. Maybe you don't want to do Danda Kriya. Maybe you want to go back and do Virasana from child's pose. Now, earlier, I mentioned that at this point in the practice, I would more allow you to hold a posture if you want to. Now, there is a caveat for that. If you're holding the posture because you don't know what to do, keep moving. If you hold a posture because you know you should, then go ahead and hold it. Maybe there's a variation on a posture that you want to do, that you want to try. Be a standing splits in there. You do a warrior 2, maybe the reverse warrior. Just throwing out options here. Do whatever feels good to you. Maybe there's a posture you haven't practiced in a while that you would like to practice and you feel warmed up for. Keep moving. Keep practicing. Keep breathing. Breath breathing, the heart beating, opening yourself up. When those critical voices come in saying, hey, this isn't a real pose, or I don't know what to do, it's okay. There does not have to be form to this. It doesn't even have to look like yoga. Maybe you want to try throwing out options. Do what you want. Maybe you want to try a half moon pose. Maybe there is a pose that you really want to hold for a bit. Maybe you find yourself thinking of a posture and you instantly avoid it. But the avoidance of that posture is really just your discomfort from it, and you know you should do it anyway. Maybe that's a signal. You gotta listen to like which voices are speaking right now. Again, the rectangle of your mat does not have to be what limits you here. You could move to a wall if you wanted to. You could do handstand. You could try headstand if you want to. Maybe there's some balancing postures you want to do. You want to come up to standing and try a tree pose. It's good to know what postures you are avoiding and why. I kind of spoke to that already, but it's always good to remember and to acknowledge why you might be avoiding a certain pose. Again, holding a pose if you know why you're holding it. If you don't know why, just keep moving. Keep practicing, keep moving. We're going to go for a little bit longer, maybe another 3 or 4 minutes. And I'm giving you a lot of time because I think the first few minutes are the easiest because you just do whatever feels good. And after a while, you have to kind of like really deeply listen. You have to settle into what there is for you to do here. And maybe starting to work towards some of those more advanced or difficult postures that you might not have wanted to go into at first. Maybe there's a pigeon pose in there. Maybe you want to do frog pose. Again, listen to your body. Sometimes there's those poses we get into because we know we should. And again, you're welcome to hold postures if you want to. Keep breathing, whatever you're doing, keep breathing. Maybe there's some hip stretches. Don't forget about twists. We love twists. If you start to feel the critics coming in strongly, or if you start to feel really uninspired, I'm going to ask you to stop at a certain point and maybe just reconnect to that full moon in the sky behind you. Open yourself up, feel receptive, feel open. Maybe you come into that if you're holding a pose, especially if it's something like a deep hip opener, like a pigeon pose or a frog pose. Let's go for 2 more minutes. You're almost there. And just like our earlier practice of Sahaja Yoga, if you open yourself up enough, there is like a sense of play to this. It's not as serious as it needs to be, or as we might make it to be. There is a sense of deep exploration that is happening of our bodies, of our energies, of our minds. We might come up against a limitation. We might move beyond our limitations. So much knowledge to be gained here through this practice, self-arising yoga, Sahaja Yoga, led by the energy at the Bindu, the Moon Chakra. Let's go for about 30 more seconds. And there is no rush to get there. But when you feel complete in this practice, I'd like you to come into a standing forward fold. Standing forward fold, Uttanasana, one of our restful friends. Finding yourself in Uttanasana if you haven't made yourself there yet. Feel the breath breathing, the heart beating. the body being. We allow ourselves to be led by this higher knowing. There is a lack or less effort that comes to it. We are just being more than just doing or trying to figure out. The effort lessens. Deep breath in and out. Downward facing dog. And then child's pose. Taking a few resting breaths in child's pose. All right, go ahead and come up to a seat and look toward me, please. I'll demonstrate what we're going to do next. And we just feel for a moment, sitting up and stopping and just feeling again how we have kind of attended to the field. We've attended to the body. We've listened to the deep intuition of the system. And we've tried things. We might have tried things that we found out we didn't want to do at the end of the practice, or maybe it just felt good to flow with what was. Maybe it felt good to stop in certain postures when you felt called to. One of the best ways I've ever found to connect to deep intuition, which I think is this energy coming from the Bindu, is through the practice of Sahaja Yoga in this way. Where you've got to keep going, you got to keep letting it flow. The other practice that we do for this is Viparita Karani, or half shoulder stand. So I'll give you a couple of ways to practice it tonight. The first variation, you'll start in bridge prep. So this is not full shoulder stand. For those of you who know how to do that, don't do that one right now. Good. So to get into half shoulder stand or Viparita Karani, I'll bend my elbows, fingers pointing toward the ceiling and elbows close to my side. And then I'll lift my hips into the air, bridge pose, and walk my feet back toward my hips so I can grab hold of the region of my waistband. Then I'm going to bring my knees into my chest, turn the hands around so I'm cupping the hips, and extend the legs toward the ceiling, toes in line with the eyes. Now, the feet are not all the way overhead. This is not plow pose. And again, we're not in full shoulder stand. We're keeping the weight of the body in the hands through the hips. And we're going to breathe here for a bit. Okay? If you don't want to do this version, you can go to the wall and just put your legs straight at the wall. Or if you have a couch or a bed nearby, you could put it on that as well. Okay? So I'll lead you through it, coming onto your back. If you're just doing legs at the wall, just go there now and put legs up the wall. You'll still get a good practice in, trust me. But if you're doing the full version, heels underneath the knees, bend the elbows, fingertips toward the ceiling, lift the hips, inhale. Walk your feet back towards your body, grab hold of the waist, and then hike the knees into your chest, toward your chest. And then turn the hands around and extend the legs toward the ceiling. Now, if extending the legs toward the ceiling is too much, you could bring the knees back into the chest and just hold there. Good. Now let's breathe. Soften your throat. Feel the Bindu opening at the back of the head. All the energy in your body, all the blood flow rushing toward that point. Even if you're doing legs up the wall, you can still feel it. And blood flow, the gravity pulling everything toward the Bindu, like a waterfall. Deep awareness. Staying just a little bit longer. Now to come out, bring your knees into your chest and slowly relax the back down onto the floor, feet down. Just rest for a minute before you make any transitions, before you counterpose in any way. Feeling the blood in the body settle, throat open a bit. And if you're doing legs at the wall, go ahead and move back onto your mat. And then we'll all hug our knees into the chest. Holding onto the shins, take a deep breath in. Exhale, go ahead and curl the chin in toward the throat, forehead up toward the knees, shoulders lift, and extend your arms forward. Let's just hold this pose for a few breaths. It's just helping to bring your neck into some stronger alignment after the work we've done. Good, and then go ahead and release the head down and extend your legs down to the floor. Good, and from here, we're gonna come into Matsyasana fish pose. So if you don't know what this is, you can watch me do it once. If you know what it is, go ahead and come into it. I'm gonna leave my hands on the floor, palms on the ground, and I'll press the elbows into the floor, lift my chest up as high as I can, drop the head back, and release the top of the head to the floor, looking upside down behind me. So go ahead and do that. Pressing the elbows into the floor, lifting the chest, dropping the head upside down. Hips stay on the ground here. Breathe. One more breath. Now to come out, press the elbows into the floor again, lift the chest, look up at your feet, then release the back, then the head down onto the floor. We always do it that way, just to make sure that we don't hurt the neck coming out. All right, just a couple more postures. Go ahead and hug your knees in. And take the arms out to the side, making a T shape with the body, or you can do cactus arms. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, take your knees to the right. Inhale, come back to center. And exhale, knees to the left. Inhale back to center. And then as you take the knees to the right this time, go ahead and stay. Keep them there. Your right hand can rest on the left thigh. Feel your left shoulder anchoring back behind you. You can turn the chin to the left away from the knees if you'd like. Feeling the body breathe. Feeling the heartbeat. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, knees to the left. Take your time. Your left hand can rest on top of the right thigh. Feel your left shoulder anchor and the chin can turn to the right. Feel the body breathe. Feel the heartbeat. All right, inhale, come back. Bring the soles of the feet together in butterfly, holding on to the shins, ankles, or pinky edge of the feet. And draw the feet in toward your groin, knees going wide. And even though we're resting on our backs here, engage Jalandhara Bandha, the chin lock. Tuck the chin back a little bit. You might have to lift the head to help that. And become aware of the Bindu. You're not trying to do anything here. You're just holding awareness at that point. Nothing more, nothing less. You're not trying to figure something out or channel anything through. You are just sitting at attention. All right. When you're ready, please extend your legs down to the floor. And go ahead and come into Shavasana, corpse pose. Bringing any support where you need it. And have your heels about mat width apart, toes falling outward, arms by your side, palms turning up, open, receptive, jaw and eyes relaxed. As you settle in, feel your entire body just relax. All holding, all gripping, all effort immediately ceases. No more moving, no more trying, no more effort. And become aware of your entire body. Your entire body. What is your body made of? Water, earth, there's electricity in your body, the nervous system, could be fire, ether, plenty of air. There's more. From a physics standpoint, all of those elements, all of it, are just atoms. All the cells breaking down further and further. And you might think about that as just primordial essence. You might feel liquid, you might feel gaseous, you might feel like a solid thing, but if you break it down far enough, you're a collection of atoms, the building blocks of everything. These atoms don't have to do anything here. They arrange themselves by the will of something else. So just see if you can be with that idea. There's something outside of you that has destined you to be in this moment, to be arranged so intelligently in this form. Can you open yourself up to what that is? That deeper wisdom, that deeper knowledge. Not striving for anything, but being completely open for how it wants to organize you next. There's nothing to figure out. Just be. Peace. 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 Go ahead and take a deeper, fuller breath, feeling all of those atoms reform into you, the heart beating, the breath breathing. Make some gentle movements in the body, hands and feet, arms, legs, head and neck. When you're ready, gently roll to your right. And come on up to a seat. So sitting tall, relax your shoulders down your back, crown of the head lifting, and engaging Jalandhara Bandha slightly, chin tucking back, and becoming aware of the Bindu. Again, you could see the Bindu as a light shining from the top of the back of the head. And in your mind's eye, do see a full moon shining in the sky behind your head. The same angle from the center of the brain as the Bindu. And as you hold your awareness at the moon, see a beam of light from the moon, a moonbeam, come down through the sky and into the Bindu. A beam of light from the moon shining down and into the Bindu, Bindu Visarga. And as it does, feel any thoughts or impulses in your mind dissolve. The moment it comes into your awareness, dissolve it, feeling this vast openness to this moonbeam. This beam being the divine knowledge, knowing, intuition that we so desperately seek, that guidance from something larger, bigger, more expansive than ourselves. Such an openness to that. Feel an openness. Nothing else exists right now. Just this connection. Allowing it to bring for you inspiration, wisdom, creative impulse, spontaneous right knowing, spontaneous right action. That moonbeam shining into the Bindu, the center of your consciousness. Develop, as you're with this image or this idea, a sense of trust for that. That this is knowledge coming to you, for you. And even long after this imagery or practice fades, that this connection is still happening. And all that you have to do to connect to it is to remember that it is there. Divine nectar, the heavenly drop, the Moon Chakra, Bindu Visarga. The opening to divine inspiration, knowledge, providence, through which to be led. Bringing your palms to the heart as the imagery fades. Bow the chin to that higher knowing, to that knowledge from something greater than you, the guidance from something greater than yourself. And may all of your practice here tonight, through these last 8 weeks, may all of this practice help keep you so connected to and in remembrance that you are guided, that you have support. If you only remember that it is there. Until we meet again, namaste.